Hello, and welcome back to Weekend Review. Now, I know it's been a long time since I've done a weekend review. It's literally been since the first week of January. There's been a lot of ups and downs and a lot of plateaus, and it just didn't seem like there was much to report in any of these weekly reviews. And sometimes I'm like, I was just sick the entire week, so we made no progress. Or there was a winter storm and we made no progress. But there's a lot to report in this weekly review, so I do want to actually do one this time and make them a little bit more regular as things progress a little bit faster. But I do appreciate you guys watching. What's been going on is Revan has been really moving along in his training. We had a tooth issue which was taken care of in February. Even though his teeth were floated twice in 1 year, and only a few months prior to this new floating, he still had dysfunction in his jaw. Like, he had 50% mobility to one side and then only 80% to the other side. So I had a specialist come out and look at him, and she just reset the entire thing. I'm like, okay, there is a difference between having a veterinarian that just does a general veterinarian looking at it and a specialist veterinarian looking at it. Like, she's got special certifications specifically for equine dental, and yes, she is a vet. So there's a big difference, and I'm not trying to hate on my regular vet. He does a wonderful job, and I do appreciate everything that he does and everything that he makes himself available for, and he does a wonderful job at those things. But not everybody's good at everything, and sometimes you just need a specialist to take a look at it. So she really basically fixed him. There's still some work that needs to get done as he progresses along and as his teeth grow out a little bit more so that she can kind of take another look. But he was developing a somewhat serious one-sidedness where he just could not bend properly to the one side, and it was becoming worse and worse and more of a problem. So we found the problem. And now, I went and I recorded some meridian things. I explored the long meridian and the small intestine meridian, which goes, those are acupressure points that go from, the TMJ all the way down the brachiocephalic and then around the pectorals and down the front legs. And that is the area that would become very stiff and sore if you have, some sort of tooth dysfunction. So those will be released in time. But the weather was I wanted to post more fundamentals videos, but the weather was just not agreeing. It was icy and it would rain and then become more icy, or it was snow and some ice underneath, and it was just not good footing, and it was just not good recording. I think I had one good snowy day that was actually good recording weather, and it was happened to be 40 degrees after it had snowed quite a bit. So that's when we posted episode 5 of the Bitless Horse Project, and we did a little bit of recording for some of the fundamentals, but I just could not get the shoulder in one and the forward down one done at all. It was kind of annoying. I'm like, I want to release this, and I want to release these other things that I did during writing sessions, but I can't because I want to do it in an order, and because it's important to do it in an order. So that was just kind of a big drama. But now things are rolling. Today I edited and recorded 4, and this will be number 5 videos in a row. It's bam, 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 done. So like I said, things are moving on. My Pilates is getting easier. Lifting weights is getting easier. My, flexibility. I do want to post on my stretching routine. One of my students already follows a routine of her own based off of the same trainers that I was watching online. And it has definitely benefited her as well, and it's benefited me greatly. It'll benefit your well-being too. Like, create a stretching routine. It's not just good for your riding, it's good for yourself in general. You'll sleep better, you'll have a better well-being, your patience will be better, your stress will be lower. It'll just all around better self-care, honestly. Um, skip some of those sedentary spa days and put in a stretching routine. You'll thank yourself later, especially as you age. Because realigning that fascia is extremely important to continuing your mobility. Let me tell you, sometimes we forget, like, we train our horses and we take care of our horses so much that okay. We take care of our horses so much that we forget about ourselves sometimes, and we are a big part of their success, because especially when we get on top of them for riding, they will take our signals, and if we're stiff, they'll become stiff, no matter what foundation they might have. So you need to be loose and flexible and mobile as well. But we've got the fundamentals going. We've got memberships on YouTube now, super thanks. So if you want to leave a super thanks, that option is now available. That's like a one-time donation of appreciation towards my projects. And, any kind of support, even just watching, viewership is important, extremely important to me. So I thank you for any level of support that you send to this channel our way. What else? What else we have? Better weather coming. It's like 70-degree week last week. It was wonderful. Not much else to report, I believe. Oh, I finally figured out. Okay, so the certifications, I've been bouncing around between the different certifications, and I finally landed on one because I started volunteering at a local therapy center. And the whole point of volunteering is just to kind of give back to the community, see how I can use my skills to help others. And I don't want to just like pat myself on the back with this. I believe it is healthy. It is part of Jewish identity as a mitzvah to help give back to community. So I feel like the best way I can give back to community is to give back to the therapy community with volunteer hours. And whatever they need, like, I don't care, I train horses for a living, but I don't need to train their horses. I can just groom their horses. And, the one day they needed a Cushing's horse clip finished. So I just did that, and it was like covered in like clipped hair, and it was fun. It got me back into clipping. I hadn't done it in like 15 years. So that was fun, but it's healthy. It benefits the community that you're serving, but to serve in a volunteer capacity and giving back actually gives you joy and helps you as a person. It's a mitzvah. It's a Bible commandment. If you are walking in a faith, it's if you're, it's like monks do it, but it is known to benefit the person who is giving back by giving back, if you know what I mean. So, but they proposed the instructorship. That's still kind of up in the air. I'm still going to volunteer if they ultimately say no. But it kind of got me into looking more into this Path International certification, which, whether or not this particular place hires me, it kind of showed me that maybe this certification would be the first one to go, because I was looking at the USDF certification, the Path International certification, and for those of you who don't know what Path International is, it's a therapeutic instructor and therapeutic horsemanship type certification that teaches you how to it teaches you how to instruct physically and mentally disabled persons. And the different ways that hippotherapy can be positive for them, for cognitive development and physical therapy and development as well, of all different ages. And so if you have a therapy horse that is appropriately sized for this particular therapy person, I already know how to train a horse like that, because it's like, even though it's a different environment, it's a different rider, I I have enough of a background that I can kind of extrapolate, like, what does the horse need to know for this? I get it. And even beyond that, because a lot of therapy horses are chosen for their mild manneredness, and they're from all different types of backgrounds. But not every therapy center is familiar with training the horse how to carry properly, especially carrying a rider who is unbalanced. Because we go through balance all the time, but if you're going to, you know, go through therapy with somebody who is intrinsically not balanced because of their disability, or they're trying to bring themselves into balance using riding as a therapy, the horse needs to know how to compensate for that. So what I've noticed, not at this therapy center particularly, but at a lot of different therapy centers that I've observed over the years, a lot of them don't know how, or they don't do this sort of prep training for these horses. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't, and it ends up where the horse either gets soured, doesn't want to do it anymore, or the horse will start becoming swayback because they're just not compensating properly. So that, in congruence with training, I think I can have like a pretty good power combo. So, because I do like the idea of giving back, and I do like the idea of helping people that would otherwise not be able to take lessons from a normal riding riding school, and be able to adapt to that person specifically. I mean, I've instructed plenty of normal people, or people that are within a good range of receiving normal lessons. I've also had to adapt for some people's limitations, which is okay. But not every lesson program does that. Not every lesson program adapts for an adult. They just teach adults like they would teach children, and it's kind of like this overarching program, which, in my opinion, isn't. The next level, I think, is the customization program, which takes a little bit more effort and a bit more thought, which is kind of like my little niche is customization here. But getting that certification and being with this therapy center, I think even if they don't decide to hire, then I could probably ask them to help me out with this at least. Who knows? We'll find out. We'll see. At least to make it a little bit less expensive. But I think it will benefit the business anyway. It'll benefit me. It'll benefit, hopefully, others later on down the road. But the USDF, the USDF certification, I think, is a little bit farther down the road if I do it, because it involves showing, which means it involves buying showing tack and new show clothes, because I just figured out that my show boots don't fit anymore. 20 years does a lot to your calves. But anyway, that's a bit farther down the line, because currently I do not have the money and to be able to go through the USDF instructor trainer program, and my horse is not trained well enough for that just yet. So that on pause. Path International, more of a possibility, more of a immediate thing. So, and then the CHA certification could be easy, but it's still more expensive than Path International, believe it or not. I mean, it's shorter and it's easier to achieve, but that involves travel, which involves monies, which it's also several $100s more expensive, like I said, than Path International. At least I don't have to travel for the Path, because we're in an area with a lot of Path instructors. But that's where that is when it comes to certifications, because yes, I have the education, but no, I don't have the silly certificate to say I have the education. which is the conundrum of a lot of instructors and trainers, because back in it's only becoming more and more recent that having certifications is kind of becoming necessary, because people want to know that they're getting legitimate instruction and legitimate training. So there's still a lot of business to be had that you don't need certifications for, because your performance is your portfolio, basically. But it's becoming more and more common where your customer is kind of demanding, like, where is your base of training from? I want to know. And you can't just say it to me. I want to have some sort of organization that you're affiliated with. So anyway, that's the certification journey so far. But that's where that is. But yep, we've got and the new movement course is underway. I am getting Revan more familiar with the things that I'm specifically trying to get at. I'm training myself on some camera angles that I need, I haven't really done much with. We're going to be doing the groundwork movement stuff as we do the riding fundamentals, because that's where Revan's at. He's more advanced in his groundwork than he is in his riding, because we've started groundwork so much earlier in his physical development, and we waited for regular riding until his body was essentially done ossifying enough. Like, basically, the pelvic suture needs to be closed before we start more intense riding. So that's why we waited. But we continued with groundwork, or developmentally appropriate groundwork, until this age now. So now these things are converging, and he's way more advanced. So we're going to be doing the groundwork portion for the movement level while we do the riding portion of the fundamentals level, and then we'll start moving into movement next year. So like winter, spring of 2026, if everything goes well. But currently he's progressing faster than I projected. The lunge test, because that's another certification that I was kind of after as well with Vet Brander Up. The lunge test stuff I've kind of put on hold for now. He was having some trouble. The tooth thing really delayed it. So I've kind of like failed my challenge, because I put a timeline on it and I failed to keep up with that timeline. That's okay. I'm not going to like have a hissy fit because, I missed my timeline, especially on something that was like my own construct. So, learning. But I'm putting a hold on that because it's been very difficult to get a hold of a bent brander up trainer. And with the slowdown in business, I've been kind of in safe mode for now, so I can't really pay for the instructor's training right now. So, I tried to contact Catherine Brander up, and I'm like, hey, online lessons, and she never got back to me. I don't know if it like got lost in her email or something, or she speaks English. She's had stuff in English. Bettina went from, individual lessons to now it's a subscription that she's got, and she's got a waiting list now. So I'm like, dang, I missed that one. I mean, I could still get on her waiting list for one-on-one instruction, but we'll see what happens, because, it went from the equivalent of $70 American to like $95 American. But, good for her. It's one of those things where you're like, once you start having a waiting list, you can start becoming more expensive and people being okay with that. Which, I applaud. I applaud her. She worked really hard for that. But I was looking into Yossi Rayovet, who was the inventor of the it's like a special cavesson that's like a convertible cavesol. and he's like Bitless Art of Riding guy. So he has the one-on-ones, and I think he's kind of more solidified in that. I don't think he's going to be moving into that subscription thing like Bettina is. He's much older, kind of set in his ways. I hope Yossi is not like watching this video. It'd be so embarrassing. um, but I was thinking, looking into Yossi, he is lightly affiliated with Bent Branderup. His education is in Bent Branderup, but I don't think he's like a certified trainer. So I can get some information from him through how he's helping me, because I need some serious help with my school halt. Like, normally I've been able to get school halt from a lot of horses, but with Revan specifically, as he's training, since he was butt high for such a long time, like within the past month, he just became level. But since he was butt high for such a long time, I didn't quite notice this at that point, but I do notice this now. He developed a bad habit of lifting his butt while he was leaning back in the lean back instead of dropping it. And that was my fault, because I'm with my students, I'm a bit more critical. So I have more of a critical eye as they do things in front of me, but my folly is I'm not as critical with my own horse as I should be. So sometimes I don't see things, or I let things go as I train that particular horse, which as I develop as a trainer, because I still consider myself a journeyman until I have actually finished a horse myself, because I've done lots of different portions of training. Like, I've done beginning to finish portions of training of different horses, but I have never actually brought a horse from beginning to finish. So as I move through that to become, the level of master, I hesitate to say that, but maybe when I'm 60, I don't know. Hopefully a little earlier than that. But as he goes through this, we have pitfalls. He has his own problems, and the butt high horse training this, I've noticed, can develop a lift instead of drop instead of bending all of the joints in the hind end. So I need some help to figure out how to break that bad habit, because transitions, and I know I've got to do probably hundreds more transitions, but the transitions seem to be stiff and not quite getting there. I mean, I think it'll get better as we ride and do transitions in context of riding, because he's paying more attention to actually carrying my weight instead of just his own weight, because he's compensated with his own weight before. But we'll see how this goes. If it becomes more and more serious, I think I'm just going to actually save up the money, get a lesson or a couple of lessons with Yossi, and see what he suggests. But that's where we're at. That's where I'm at. But I do appreciate the viewership. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I'm assuming that if you're watching the vlog portion of my channel, you are already subscribed, because it's a little more raw. It's a little more vloggy, and I don't know. I think if you're gonna watch a vlog, you're a little bit more invested than if you're just gonna watch a one-off video. So I appreciate the views. But anyway, I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for spending the time, and thank you for being interested in this little movement thing that I've been trying to get going. But if you want to become a member, do that. You will automatically get invited to the Discord channel, which is another community that I'm trying to get going. And then you can have a lot of different private safe space commentary, a safe space where it is highly moderated by myself and my husband, where you're not going to get ridiculed for any kind of question that you have. You can ask me any question. It only takes a level 1 subscription or becoming a live student or an online student, because that's part of the student perks, is the Discord channel. It's a forever Discord channel for you. But it is a safe space for you to ask any kind of question without being ridiculed, because it is highly moderated, and people will keep negative comments to themselves. And if not, we will take care of that. So we want to try to keep it in a very positive way, a constructive criticism way, not a tearing down, trolly way. But all right, but thank you. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And again, please be kind.